what would you say are the top three, with communication already on the list, things that you guys have had to do in order to be a married couple launching a business that happens to be a franchise?
I've got one off the top of my head. It's
Come on.
humility.
Humility.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Humility. There are stressful days. There are days that are harder than others. When Kevin is out coaching for hours in 100+ degree heat, he may come home and not be the most bubbly. You have to be humble. It is not about me. Like, we are all going through things. We're having stressful days, but I'm still called to support him, and I care about him, and I care about this business, and I care about being a good wife. So I need to make it less about me. I feel a great pride over Soccer Stars. In my W-2 job, I'm one of thousands and thousands of employees. I don't matter. I'm just a number. But Soccer Stars, I'm like, oh, this is us. Humility is really key for couples getting into a business, not taking things personally.
I think another thing we have to be mindful of is the big picture. We have to be kind of zooming out, because it's easy to get lost into the business on a day-to-day basis because there's so much to do. Like, I have a whiteboard just like you do, and I've got stuff on
all four walls have whiteboards, every single one of them.
Yeah, I need to put more because I'm running out of room. But there's always, which is cool because I'm always staying busy. But I can get sucked into those tasks, and I have to remember, like, hey, this is my wife. We're going to do life together. We'll do well with this business, and long after this business is gone and someone else is running it, she's still going to be my wife. So I have to remember what's important now is my family.
Yo, this is the Streetwise Podcast, where we help you level up your game, level up your leadership, and level up your life. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds. I'm a multi-brand franchisee, and I'm a franchise consultant, which means I help people find, launch, and build their ideal franchise business. My main goal is to help you get off of zero and become the person that your dreams need you to be. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready, let's go. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for you guys to be on the show. Streetwise Nation, we have Kevin and Chelsea Meyer with Super Soccer Stars. It's great to have you. How are you two doing today?
Blessed, man. We cannot complain. It's a great day in Texas here.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's get this thing rocking. How long have you guys been with Soccer Stars? What are your roles collectively? Because from what I understand, you both are involved in the business, and we'll start there. We'll ease into it.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we went to train in May of last year. So we're just over a year old. We went to New York City for our training, did our little franchise training, and then went from there and launched our first class over in McKinney in July. So we've been rocking and rolling for about 1 year's time. As far as the roles go, I basically run the operations, probably 90% of the business. I'm doing a lot of the sales right now, sometimes with Chelsea's assistance. And then I'm also kind of running the operational side of things on the ground with the classes and with our coaches, managing that end. I'll let you speak to your role as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a transition phase. We've grown a lot, and it looks a lot different from when we first started. When we first started, Kevin and I both had our own full-time jobs in addition to launching Soccer Stars. So it was a blur because we were working 14, 16-hour days trying to get this business up and running. Then in the fall, Kevin decided to go into Soccer Stars full-time. So I'm still working my full-time job, and now I am transitioning to being more in the background and just helping out where needed, where Kevin is really the front runner and the face of Soccer Stars.
Got it. So I should have said this in the beginning. You guys are franchisees, so you're wrapping up your first year. And so if I hear correctly, it was a couple months, 3 months, Kevin, until you decided to go full-time into the business. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it was. So it was an interesting journey, man. We initially walked into this with the intention of getting an operator. Chelsea and I both thought so at the time I was a police officer and I loved my job. I was having a great time. And shortly after we decided to go in with Soccer Stars, I got a promotion. So I got an even better job where I got to do some fun stuff at the academy. I got to be in charge of defensive tactics. I have a history with martial arts. I was an amateur Muay Thai fighter, so did some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I had some fun times. So they basically gave me the dream job, and I took it, and it was great. Fast forward a little bit, Chelsea and I are growing the business, and we're not finding an operator that really fits our mold, what we want for our vision, our mission for the company. Around that time later in the year late last year, Chelsea's back started to have some issues. She's had some back problems in the past. and she basically had to have back surgery. So while we were both working on the business at the time, she was kind of out of it for a little bit. She couldn't help because she was, she had to take care of herself, rehab herself back up to 100%. So I had to take some time off of work. The guys at my agency were great. They said, "Hey, take your time." I took 6 weeks, helped keep the business growing. And from there, we kind of looked back at that at the end of the 6 weeks and said, "Hey, how was this 6 weeks of Kevin just doing Soccer Stars full time?" And we liked it. We liked the flexibility. We liked me being home more. I can't work from home as a police officer, so I didn't have that availability. So now I had that availability at times to be able to just work from home, be available with my family, be more present. So we liked that, and we kind of talked about it and decided that it was going to be time to walk away from law enforcement, which was kind of tough for me to do. It's been a transition for sure, because I didn't realize it at the time, but it's been part of my identity for a while. So walking away from it was a little bit of a challenge, but it's been a great next chapter. And we've enjoyed the ride. We've enjoyed growing together and kind of getting into this new phase of our life.
Yeah. So I think November 1st was his first day full-time Soccer Stars. So from launch May, June-ish to then November is when we were both balancing full-time jobs plus Soccer Stars launch.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that backstory. I just wrote down, before you said it, the word identity, maybe 30 seconds before it came out of your mouth. So I do want to take a minute and kind of dive in there. What was that transition like? I feel like you're either in the heat of it, or maybe you figured out some things about yourself and about your new role to maybe provide some insight to somebody who's dealing with some identity crisis when they transition from one role into another. So what was that like for you, Kevin, as you left being a police officer to go into this full time?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm still kind of dealing with it. Because
Yeah,
I
bet.
did this. I was a police officer for 9 years, and I had a lot of fun, man. People ask me like, "Hey, I'm sure you talk to people. Hey, do you like your job?" They're like, not really. If you ask me if I like my job, I'd say I am very blessed to be where I'm at, and I would do my job for free because I have so much fun with it. So
Beautiful.
moving to the Soccer Stars side has just been different. Chelsea and I kind of joke. Chelsea's, she works, a W-2 job at a corporate company. She does spreadsheets all the time. I told her I've never used Excel. I don't know how to do that. We didn't do that in police. We wrote reports. We run after bad guys and put them in handcuffs and book them into jail and then rinse and repeat, deal with people's problems. So it's still been kind of a bit of a transition, but I also know that I'm learning a lot more than I would have if I just stayed where I was at. It was a good time to pivot. I feel like I accomplished what I needed to accomplish in law enforcement. And now I'm learning things like growing a business that I can pass down to my kids and explain to them how, hey, maybe you don't fit into a W-2 job. That's okay. I felt like that at times too. Why don't we look at starting your own business and being your own boss? And there's going to be struggles to it. There's going to be issues, but there's a lot of upside to it too if you're willing to kind of take that risk and bet on yourself. So it's been fun. It's like I said, it's been a challenge to kind of get through that new identity, but I am enjoying what I'm learning so far. And I'm learning like I'm drinking water through a fire hose right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's great because, like I said, Chelsea and I are doing this together. When we're on fire, we're working together well, we're unbeatable. We can't be stopped. So it's been a great ride for both of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like the fire hose metaphor. I've used standing under the waterfall with my mouth open metaphor before. I'm sure you guys can feel that. So Chelsea, how did you have to shift your mindset in order to support Kevin as partner in business, but also as a wife? As you see him taking this big leap, you guys are doing it together. Obviously, I think that's amazing. And I want to talk about that because that's an undervalued thing to do when you get into franchise ownership. But just the mindset that you had in the process of, all right, so you're going to leave your job. Okay, so we're going to start this business. Okay, I see you struggling. Maybe I do or don't know how to help you. What was that like for you?
It's been a challenging summer is how I've described this summer. But like Kevin said, we're growing a lot. The decision was a big decision to leave law enforcement, but we very much felt like it was God-led. We prayed a lot on it. We felt like that was the direction that God wanted our family to go. So we have peace in feeling that confidence, but it is still a challenging transition. When we were first starting both working our jobs, we were go, go, go. I mean, you need to get something done and you do it. We hadn't really defined our roles. So now that Kevin is doing this full time, we're in that stage of the business where no, Kevin is the true leader and CEO of this business. And then I need to also support him in him learning things that I've been doing for a long time and I can do very quickly. But just because I can do something quickly doesn't mean I should be doing it. He still needs to learn it. So I joke that I think that they should dedicate part of franchise training to how do couples run a business together,
Let's
because
go. Yes.
no one talks about that. And you are now working together on something, but you're also working from home. So work always follows you home. So it's easily always a topic of conversation. So, I mean, if you hear of any good, hey, couples running a business together training, let me know. Or if you want to develop one, I think there's a huge need. So we're growing a lot, but I'm trying to be more humble and try to embrace more of a servant mindset. Like whatever Kevin needs me to help him with, that's what I need to do. And we both equally care about this business, but we're in a growth and a transition period for sure.
Yeah, it's great to define that and call it what it is and give it a name. And I'll call this out right now. We've got some good synergy going on right now between myself and you two, because right before you said that, I had just written down balancing the husband and wife roles, not just in skills, but also perspective in building a business and being in a transition. So for context, when we started our first franchise in 2016, it was Mosquito Joe. My wife and I got married on March 12th in 2016, and we flew to Virginia Beach on March 13th for corporate training to get this business off the ground. And so I'm very familiar with the plight, with the situation, with the cross that you carry, and really the blessing that you guys are experiencing right now for your family. And you're exactly right. There's not enough education around how to balance it. And in my opinion, it's one of the best ways to get into specifically franchise ownership. So you talked about Chelsea as a W-2, you've got some admin background, and you also talked about how you balanced figuring out your different skill sets and how you could plug in. So could you define that? Can we dive into that for a little bit and what that looks like now? So from an admin side, and you're still working your job, how do you guys come together currently in operating this business? What does that look like today?
Yeah, I think, I lean on Chelsea a lot for the administrative side. And I'm asking her a lot of the time, like, hey, I've never done this before. How do we make this spreadsheet? How do you usually format these emails the right way? Because you do it all day. I haven't done it. And luckily she's been really great about helping me learn through those things. And then, when I'm on the road, because we're going from location to location all the time. And, we launched our second territory about a month ago. So I'm driving even more now to try to start up the second territory. And I can call her up and just say, hey, Chelsea, I'm not going to be able to get this done in time. Can you get ahead of this email? Can you build this proposal for me? Because I just can't do it. And luckily, like she said, she's developed that servant mindset where she just says, okay, I'll do it. I'll get it done. So communication is a big thing right now. It's a huge thing, because if we're not communicating well, and what my ask is different than her interpretation of my ask, then we're going to fail. And we don't want that, because the business can creep into our personal lives, and we don't want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Kevin is really mostly doing everything at this point, where I'm in the background, just helping where he needs help. Prior to that, I think I was driving a lot of sales, phone calls, emails. I mean, that's my background. I've been in sales my whole career. So that's something I felt really comfortable doing. And then Kevin was more on the ground, going to locations, introducing himself. And he's very charming, as you can probably tell. So that's helpful. So he was more of the boots on the ground guy, training the coaches, hiring. I always joke, I'm like, he's head of HR, but now he's he's just a CEO. He does everything. But so that's kind of how things are divided now, with Kevin really leading, and I'm just there to support and do what he needs done in the background.
And I think it's also important to note, Chelsea is amazing at sales. She's great. She speaks so well. She's so eloquent with her wording. I went to a job as a police officer where you didn't have to speak nice to people, and sometimes you didn't speak nice to people. So it's a transition. I have to smile more sometimes. I'm not the most smiley guy. So networking, things that Chelsea's pro at, they're not my thing. But I'm willing to say that they're not my thing, but they're going to be my thing. I'm getting on the phone. I'm calling people. I'm meeting with them. I'm doing what Chelsea's good at because I want to be good at it. I'm not willing to say, hey, I'm just not good at that. That's unacceptable to me. I'm going to be good at it. I may not be as good as Chelsea. Chelsea's amazing, but I'm going to get close. And it might take time and it might not happen overnight, but it's going to happen. So I do have that drive about me that I'm going to move to cover what Chelsea was doing and do it well. And, it's been a struggle, but it's also been great to learn through those things and struggle to learn through those things.
That's awesome. And just to speak into you guys a little bit, a lot of issues come up when individuals get into business ownership because they make the business about them. And when the business does start to scale, they become the bottleneck as they start to add a team. And so I think it's very healthy to start a business in this way where you've defined the roles, but you also have support in order to balance and really build it bigger than you from the jump. You said one thing, and it was communication and how that's been a key asset. And Chelsea, you talk about making the curriculum and building the syllabus. So I'm curious, maybe we hash out two more things so we could have a top three. What would you say are the top three, with communication already on the list, things that you guys have had to do in order to be a married couple launching a business that happens to be a franchise? With, again, communication, we already said that one. So give me two more that you guys can think about.
I've got one off the top of my head. It's
Come on.
humility.
Humility. Yeah. Let's go.
Humility. Because there are stressful days. There are days that are harder than others. When Kevin is out coaching for hours in 100+ degree heat, he may come home and not be the most bubbly. And it takes humility. I mean, you have to be humble. It is not about me. Like, we are all going through things. We're having stressful days, but I'm still called to support him. And I care about him, and I care about this business, and I care about being a good wife. So I need to make it less about me. And I've especially seen that in this transition phase, like where I want to do all the things. I feel a great pride over Soccer Stars because in my W-2 job, I'm one of thousands and thousands of employees. I don't matter. I'm just a number. But Soccer Stars, I'm like, oh, this is us. But, we're in a transition phase. I need to be humble. It's not about me. It's about us, our marriage, our family, and this business. So I think humility is really key for couples getting into a business, not taking things personally.
That's good.
I think another thing we have to be mindful of is the big picture. We have to be kind of zooming out, because it's easy to get lost into the business on a day-to-day basis because there's so much to do. Like, I have a whiteboard just like you do, and I've got stuff on
all four walls have whiteboards, every single one of them.
Yeah, I need to more because I'm running out of room. But there's always, which is cool because I'm always staying busy. But I can get sucked into those tasks, and I have to remember, like, hey, this is my life. We're going to do life together. We'll do well with this business, and long after this business is gone and someone else is running it, she's still going to be my wife. So I have to remember what's important now is my family. I want this business to grow, but not to the extent that it puts a strain onto my wife, my family life with my kids. So I always have to zoom out and look big picture. And I know God's going to bless us if we do the right things, if we're blessing the right people. So we're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to do what we know is right. We're going to have hard months. We're going to have good months, but we got to keep doing. We know the secret sauce. Soccer Stars gave that to us. So we just got to keep doing that and doing what we know will work. And over time, it will grow. It won't be without growing pains, but it will happen the way it's supposed to.
And I think zooming out has helped create some healthy boundaries. Like, I don't bring my laptop into bed anymore. When we climb into bed at night, which is really early, we put the kids down and then we're climbing into bed because we're exhausted.
Good for you guys. But yeah, great.
I'm not bringing my laptop in anymore because that's time for us to connect at the end of the day and for us to calm down. So I think zooming out has been really helpful. We can do more of it. We can absolutely do more of it because it's very easy, as you know, just to work on your business all the time. So
Max.
I think zooming out has helped create boundaries, and it's something that we can pay more attention to and define more.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Y'all picked that up quick. Look at you guys. So number 1, communication. Number 2, humility. And number 3, taking a step back and really creating a vision for what you guys want to do collectively, but also individually, because you can't fill somebody else's cup if your cup is empty. And so as partners, you guys are really having to be intentional about working on yourselves, but also having grace for the other person and what they're going through in the moment. No, that's beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you a lot. I appreciate that. So I'm curious about the mindset that you guys had when you first got into Soccer Stars, because I mean, you're looking at franchise opportunities. You didn't start something from scratch. You obviously saw value in the franchise business model. So maybe walk me through the mindset and then how you found Soccer Stars, and then we'll take a couple minutes to really talk about what it is that you do as a franchisee of Soccer Stars. Like, what is the business? But first, what was your mindset and why did you go down that path?
Yeah, I'll let Chelsea speak to her perspective on it, but mine was that, we listened to a podcast similar to yours, and kind of we're hearing people talk about how, franchises, they're plug and play, you can get an operator in place, kind of push it down the road, and you can make it a passive investment. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, we like looking into investments. That might be something we should check out. We talked with a franchise consultant, and he kind of talked to us. And I think they initially said it was going to take us about 5 to 10 hours of work a week if we get an operator in place. We're like, wow, that's definitely doable. We can keep our W-2 jobs. Then we look forward, at different franchises and talk to different franchisors and stuff. And kind of fast forward, we get to the point where we're like, hey, we launch and we're like, hey, this isn't ultra passive. This takes a lot of work. And we want to be good. We have to put in the work, and we do. Yes. We're both. We want to be number one. We want to be successful. We want to leave our kids with something that we built well, with a good foundation and good return on it. So that's our goal. We're not putting in 5 to 10 hours. I mean, I think most days I'm putting in 10 to 12 hours of work each day just to get that day done and do it well. So my perspective was much different than what reality was. I thought this was going to be a passive kind of way to grow wealth, and it's definitely not passive. It takes someone who has resiliency and grit and the ability to kind of put in the work. And I wasn't born with a lot of, super great skills. Like, I'm not ultra smart. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not going to be the fastest guy on the track, but like, I can work. I will, you give me some time. I'll wake up early. I'll work throughout the day, and I'll stay up late and work. So if there's a task for me to work at, I will do it, and I'll do it well.
Yeah. And then I guess from my perspective, it was funny when we both talked to each other about franchises. I had mentioned, I'm like, hey, I've been listening to a podcast lately. Have you ever thought about looking into franchises? And Kevin's like, that's really funny you said that. I was listening to a podcast recently. To date, our experience with investing had mostly been long-term rentals. So going into a small business was completely new. I didn't come from a background of parents who owned a business, so that was completely foreign to me. But where we saw value is really being able to learn something new that we can pass on to our children. And we have 3 young kiddos, so we're thinking about, how do we give them the best life possible? How can we both had great lives growing up, but how can we make their lives even better? So I think that was really what drove us initially, is let's get smarter. Let's learn a new skill. Let's see what starting a small business could look like. And starting a franchise seemed like the best route for us because of the framework and the resources that you get along with it. And we've been really happy with that. We've been really grateful. We didn't think we were going to get into soccer. That's for sure. I know you can't tell on the podcast, but we're both really tall people. Kevin's like 6'3". I'm just under 5'10". So although we did play soccer growing up a little bit, I was more of a basketball player. So was Kevin. So we never thought soccer was going to be our jam. We actually looked into a plumbing franchise because we're like, oh, this will be great for our rentals. This could be a nice compliment.
Sure.
It's just funny, again, funny how things work out. But yeah, Kevin was right. We were initially told 5 to 10 hours. We're like, oh, no problem. That ended up
doesn't always work that way. Yes. There's different levels of franchise consultant. There's different levels of franchise business opportunities. And yes, there is a big push in selling franchises towards playing into the passiveness of it, or the semi-absentee or semi-involved aspect. I can only speak from personal experience. I've run my Mosquito Joe business for going on year 9. I've got technicians out in the field right now. I've got office managers answering the phone. I've got leaders on the field supervisor side that are managing my technicians, but I'm in year 9. And it took me 4 or 5 years before I really saw that transition to where I could start stepping away. And I think something that doesn't always get mentioned in the process is you can create a business and have it be semi-absentee or semi-involved or semi-passive if you have a ton of money or you have a ton of time to allow it to build itself into that. With me, it took time because we didn't necessarily have the money to build it that way from the jump. And so I also like to say that either you're working in the business or on the business, especially in launch, but no matter what, you're still working the business. And it might not be physically coaching or doing mosquito treatments, right? Hours of the day, but you're still working it in your mind and just thinking big picture. Yo, thanks for listening this far. It's at this point in the episode that I want to talk about Streetwise franchising, teaching, training, building. Streetwise franchising. As a franchise consultant, it's my job, it's my absolute pleasure, and it's my mission to help aspiring entrepreneurs find, launch, and build their ideal business. I've been a franchise owner for almost a decade. I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to build a team. If you're ready to get off of zero, if you're ready to build something for yourself, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's get the conversation started. Don't wait until tomorrow to build your future. It starts today. Streetwise franchising. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Let's get back to the episode. I'm curious. I wasn't going to ask you about this because I didn't know until you said it, but I do talk to people about different investment strategies, and a lot of people go the real estate versus business ownership franchise route. Can you maybe break down some pros and cons of the real estate route versus the franchise route? Maybe we talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I think the way we do it with the long-term rentals is, I guess most people would call that passive income as well. We've seen plenty of days where it's not very passive. We've got properties where we're boots on the ground at our rental properties for whatever reason, because something, plumbing issues, or just you have to show it to, when it's vacant, you show it to new prospective tenants. That takes time. People don't show up sometimes. I've gone to plenty of houses when we're supposed to do a showing and no one shows up, and I drove 30 minutes to get there.
Yeah. So to clarify on that point, we manage ourselves. We manage our long-term rentals ourselves. We are just getting started in short-term rentals. So we're trying that out. We just launched our first one last weekend, but yeah, we've been managing our local long-term rentals ourselves. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think real estate is a good thing to get into. I like the idea of the long-term look on real estate, especially if you can get to cash flow now and it will appreciate. There's great tax benefits to it as well. But I think people nowadays are looking for that plug and play, put my money in here, it just kind of booms and I don't do anything to it. And we haven't found that. There's nothing that really exists that we've seen that is like that. And again, I think you can, same with real estate as there is in business, you can probably take as much time off as you want, but your business or your real estate ventures will probably suffer because of that. If you're more hands-on, you're more involved, you'll probably do better. So you have to be in tune with the market in both aspects.
Sure. Interesting. So when you said soccer wasn't your first choice, but you settled on it. What was it about Soccer Stars and the system and the founder that really pushed you guys forward to say, we can do this?
Yeah, I think when we met with Adam and John over at Soccer Stars, we liked what they were saying. One of their sayings is more green time, less screen time. And we live by that. We don't have our kids on the iPad. Nothing against any parents that do that. We just want our kids outside running around, kind of getting into some fun stuff outside, playing sports. We want them active. Chelsea and I both work out 5 days a week. We get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and hit the gym.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah. And then we believe fitness and, exercise and healthy lifestyles, it's very important to us. So like Chelsea said, we weren't looking for soccer. That wasn't our thing. And in fact, I wasn't even going to put it on the list of ones to look at, but Chelsea's like, hey, we should just take a look at it. We should talk to the corporate side and, OpCo and see what they say. And it just made sense. The values that they held aligned with what we held. So it made a lot of sense. And I like Chelsea said, we looked at a plumbing company. We looked at, a home retirement, like in-home retirement or in-home health care type franchise as well. I forget what else we looked at, but I just wasn't motivated. I wasn't like, man, I want to get up and do some plumbing today. I'm excited. No knock on anybody who does that. I'm sure it's very lucrative, and I'm sure some people are motivated by that. It just wasn't for me. I didn't feel that passion. But for soccer and affecting kids' lives in a positive way, I can get up early for that, and I can stay up late for that. So it was motivating for me, and I did like that vision that they held.
Yeah, the other benefit too is there's very little overhead with Soccer Stars. So with the plumbing company, because we were really convinced this is going to be the best fit for us because of our rentals. you needed a storefront, you had to buy vans, you had to get a lot of equipment. And that was also something that we wouldn't be able to plug ourselves into. And as Kevin mentioned, we are type A, very hands-on people. So, hey, if a plumbing technician calls out, well, we're stuck because I don't know anything about plumbing. But with Soccer Stars, we know kids, we know how to have fun with them. And like Kevin said, we're passionate about keeping our own kids healthy and engaged. So it feels like a really great fit. And Soccer Stars Corporate was awesome. They're so hands-on. They're so reachable. They are just so easy. I can call them up anytime and ask a question or Slack them and say, hey, can you give me a call? I've got a challenge we're working through. So we entered a very supportive environment. So Soccer Stars very quickly became our number one choice, even though, it was not what we thought. But, the consultant we'd worked with at the time said that often happens. And I'm sure you've seen that with your clients, that they think they've got their mind made up on what the best fit is. And come to find out that's not the best fit. Something else that you never even dreamed of was your right fit.
Sure. No, that's cool. I just made a video very recently about where do you want to fall into the business when somebody doesn't show up? When somebody on the team doesn't show up, where do you want to be? Do you want to be coaching soccer class? Do you want to be fixing something with somebody's plumbing? Both can be very lucrative, but you have to decide where do you specifically want to be. So just to recap a little bit, because you guys hit everything on the head. There has to be, number one, what I heard you say is there has to be some sort of passion within the widget. You don't have to be passionate about soccer, but passion for exercise, fitness, child enrichment, less screen, more green, or the other way around, more green, less screen. Yeah, there has to be some sort of passion for the business in what it is. For me, with my team at Mosquito Joe, it was, I love developing people. I was a teacher and a coach before I got into franchise ownership. And so developing my team, that was where I found my passion. Number two, the business itself has to match your collective skills. And so between the two of you, it sounds like you guys collaborating together have the collective skills to build this business in your market. And then number three, the actual vision and values of the company matches the vision and values of you as the franchisee. And so I think that's really important. I love that you talked about Adam and the team and the support system. What about the franchisees? I'm curious. Have you guys found any value connecting with other franchisees? And if so, what does that look like? And then if not, why not?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we entered with a cohort, and ours was pretty sizable too, seeing other future classes that weren't as large. So yeah, we still stay in touch with some of the cohorts. I think some of the franchisees we talk with the most are in California, but yeah, it's great to have a little network. And then we all have a company-wide Slack. So everybody is really accessible. I mean, Kevin, you've leaned on some franchisees out in Florida quite a bit. They're always willing to help. So yeah, I think we've got a great community of other franchisees at Soccer Stars, and ones that are eager to help and say, hey, I tried that, it didn't work. Why don't you try that? Or, oh yeah, that happened to me. Here's what I would do, or here are the resources for it. So I'd say Soccer Stars has got a really good community too.
Yeah, I hit on the head. That was 100% what I was going to say. So I agree 100%.
Awesome. No, I do as well. I think the best franchise systems have a strong culture within franchisees, and the franchisees help one another. And being in multiple myself and now being around, not all franchise systems have that culture. And it's important for you guys and for franchisees that are listening, or anybody that is maybe looking at franchise opportunities. That validation piece is important. We looked into it at Mosquito Joe, that it just so happened to have a great culture with franchisees. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my neighbors that are operating, that have helped us out. But it's important when you're looking and investigating to make sure you're having conversations with people that are already in the business, because those are going to be your people. So that's super important. Okay, so 1 year in, I am now interested in, I'm sure you guys have seen some success. You launched your second location, which is really cool. What were some really gritty moments that you had to overcome along the way? Obstacles that maybe you didn't think they were going to take you out, but they definitely hurt, and you built up some character and some sweat equity by overcoming them.
I think The challenge we faced throughout the whole process has been just retention of coaches. We've had coaches that were really good, and then we've had coaches that just kind of like, I was driving to a school one day, and it was probably 7:30 in the morning, and my coach texted me. He was supposed to be there, I think 8:15. He says, "Hey, this isn't for me. I quit." And I'm like, "Okay, man. Well, can you give me like till the end of the week?" He's like, "Nope, I'm not gonna. Nope." I'm like, "You're supposed to be at a place in 45 minutes." And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm done." I'm like, "Okay, well, thanks for just calling me and letting me know, and you didn't just no show." So I, of course, called Chelsea. I said, "Hey, I'm on the road going to another school, but can you call the school and let them know that we're gonna have to reschedule?" So it's just been stuff like that. And that was in the beginning. We were vetting our coaches pretty well at that time, but now we're making sure that our coaches align with our vision and our mission, and we're stating that in the interview, and we're letting them know that, hey, this is where we are going, this is what we expect out of you, and this is what we're not going to tolerate. And if this happens, you will not be around. We want you to be around for a long time. We want you to enjoy this and have a great time. But there's no negotiation with this, because we've seen what happens when we do negotiate with some of those things, and we're not doing that again. We've learned from our mistakes. So those days are hard when you have a coach that just doesn't fit the mold. And we've been very, very blessed as of recent that we have had some awesome coaches that have been around for a long time, and they're seemingly building their own culture within Soccer Stars, and they're developing their friendships with other coaches. We do, coach outings once a quarter where we'll go out and kind of talk about the state of the business, and we'll just kind of get together, have some dinner, break bread, and have a great time, so that our coaches get to know each other, because they don't all work together, but they can all be aligned in going in the same direction, because that's what's most important.
Mm-hmm. And I think a learned lesson there was not to waver on your standards. It can feel really easy when you're young in the business and you've got to be in a million places at one time. And hey, I need these coaches, for you to waver on that. But no, we have an expectation that you show up to your assigned shift. You don't no-show us. Those are non-negotiables for us. And we had a coach one time, she slept in and didn't come to school. And, she had said, "Okay, well, I understand if there's a consequence." And we're like, "Well, yeah, unfortunately, we've got to let you go, because that we show up when we're assigned to be somewhere. And that's what we need from you too." But it can be very easy to feel like, "Oh no, I'm stuck. I need this person. We'll just let it slide." But that can also be contagious, and it can set the wrong standard for your other coaches too. We didn't want that to create a culture of itself of, it's okay to be late. It's okay to not show up.
Man, that's so important. There's so much in that when it comes to culture and weeding out toxic traits within people or just within the system itself. Something I'd written down earlier to ask you guys, and again, transition so smoothly into it, because I've experienced this too in building a team and trying to manage people. I love the book Extreme Ownership. It's written by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And they have another book called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And they talk about the difference and the struggles of leadership when it comes to mentoring somebody in a moment versus firing and exiting somebody from your organization in a moment. I've struggled with that as a coach. I have always leaned into mentoring the person when I probably should have removed them from the team earlier. And it's helped me immensely having other people on the team now that can kind of hold down that role, and I can just speak into them. But I'm curious in the sense of asking you guys, usually when you're dealing with people problems, it comes down to accountability or integrity. With the person, is it an integrity issue, or with the business, was there not accountability in place to protect this from happening? What do you guys think about that? Have you been able in the last year to really see any differences in yourselves with accountability and integrity, and how that relates to your team of coaches?
I think Kevin's been a great leader when it comes to accountability and integrity. And I think a lot of that came from his time as a police officer. He's always held himself to a very high standard of accountability. It's really important to have integrity as a police officer. So Kevin's always exuded that really well. So I think he's doing a great job in passing that along to our coaches. And he talks a lot about that, because Kevin's always led in hiring and training people. And he's pegged pretty early on, like, you know what, I can't trust that person. This isn't going to work out long term, because to build a successful business, I have to be able to trust them, especially when we're dealing with children. Like we need to feel, more than confident that, that person is going to do what they say and that they did what they say they did as well. So those two things I think are so important. And I think Kevin's been a great leader for really making sure that that's communicated and really exemplified to our coaches.
Yeah, I think like Chelsea's speaking to, I think being accountable, holding the coaches accountable, it kind of creates that culture, right? Like if we don't hold them accountable, if I don't hold my manager accountable, then what does that show to them? What does that teach them? Because they're learning, whether or not they're understanding that they're learning, they're picking up on the subtle nuances of my actions. So if I'm letting stuff slide, like uniform standards, if those are sliding, then what's next? Then they start to show up late. And if I let that slide, then that becomes a pattern of just, oh, it doesn't matter. I can show up late whenever I want. So when that stuff happens, to me, I have to address it then and there. And I usually try to do it in person. I don't try to do it over text or a phone call. I want to look you in the eye and say, hey, this is what the issue is. Is there a problem? What is the reason for the issue? If it's just you messing up, you sleeping in, you just not making it, okay, well, we need to fix that, because if not, there's a consequence around the corner if you don't. If you fix it, I'll pretend that this conversation never happened. But if you continue to go down this road, there will be consequences. And I don't want to let you go. I don't want to cut your pay. I don't want to do any of those things, but those are on the table. So just be mindful that you're an adult. You have adult responsibilities. You signed up to this job to do something. I'm just asking you to do what you signed up to do now. And if there's issues with you at home, with family issues or whatever, I will step in and personally help you out with that. And I will help you in any way I can. I'll come to your house and help you with laundry if that's what's holding you up, whatever it is. I will make this work, but you have to meet me halfway. And you have to give me 100% of you, because I'm giving you 100% of what I have as well.
Yeah. And I think the inverse of that Kevin has shown too, there was a situation at a school. I don't remember what upset the parent, but the parent approached one of our coaches and started laying into the coach. Kevin was there and immediately stepped in between the coach and the parent, because the parent was being disrespectful. And so he set the tone with the parent, like, hey, sure, speaking to us is not okay. Speaking to us like that is not okay. Let's discuss what the issue is and find resolution. But I can't have you speaking to my coach that way. So I think Kevin's done a great job at holding coaches accountable, but also showing the coaches that, hey, he's got your back. I've got your back. I will be there for you and I will stand up for you. So I think that's also helped with the culture. And we've seen that with some coaches, some really solid coaches that we've had now for quite a bit of time.
That's really cool. That plays into that's a little bit of that police officer coming out for sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it plays into not all franchisees. We talked about franchisors and franchise consultants, but not all franchisees are created equal. And there are avatars of individuals that can do a really good job. I believe that everybody can become a franchise owner. It might take somebody longer to get there, but if that's your vision, you can do it for sure. But not everybody should. And you've got to have a lot of grit. You've got to have determination. You've got to have somebody that is willing to hold people accountable, and you've got to have integrity. And you guys have knocked all of those things out of the park right now. You're giving me a lot of good content. I appreciate that. No, it's good. That's good. All right. I want to talk to you about, because earlier you said you initially planned on bringing in an operations like general manager person, but you couldn't find really a good culture fit. So that tells me you're intentional about the culture that you want to build, but also you're willing to take longer to fill that seat. So now that you have players on the team, you've got coaches, you've got a roster. Have you been able to implement any team development of leadership in order to see if somebody's willing to step up? How are you guys doing on that part of the journey?
Yeah, I think was it February of this year?
Yeah, January, February.
We promoted one of our coaches who was very good, and we promoted him to a manager role. He's been doing great. Yeah, it's been great. It's really helped me step away from being in the business as much and helped me work on the business so much more. So it's helped with our growth. He's been phenomenal. I think he's observed what the culture is that I want to grow, and he's continued moving that forward. We have weekly meetings where we check in with each other. How'd the week go? How'd the month go? How are we doing? Are we meeting our goals? Are we failing? And it's okay to fail, but we got to make sure that we fix that in the future. We can't just allow us. We're not going to sit there and wallow in our failure. So last month was a tough month. Great. we learned, move on. This is a new month now. Let's move forward. We're going to make it better.
Come on.
So we've had a great run with that. I actually met with someone this morning who I was hoping that I can groom into a position in our new territory. She's awesome. She's very squared away. I would love to have her on the team. And so we're hopeful that she can come on board as well and help grow that next chapter of our Soccer Stars journey out in the Fort Worth area. But yeah, we are very happy to say that we have management now in place. It's been great.
Yeah. And it was a big decision too. We're like, man, can we really afford a manager? And I think to sound cliche, it's like, can you afford not to? Because then you are in the business so much more still. Can you adequately grow? So sometimes it takes a little bit of a leap of faith, or, hey, it's going to be a little tight, but that is the next step in our business. We do need to grow, hire a manager, create another layer to free up Kevin's time so he can do other things like go start a new territory or, do some of the bigger picture things.
Awesome. What mentors and resources have you guys leaned on? We talked about other franchisees. We talk about the franchise system. So maybe outside of that, have there been any groups, any books, any mentors that have helped you maybe collectively or even individually kind of process this part of your journey?
Yeah, I'll give a little shout out to business coaching training that we did. It was over at a church over in Frisco, so not too far from where we live. Was cool. Garrett Unkelbach and Nick Surface, and they kind of helped us through realizing what our vision was with our business and our purpose and what are our principles, what are our non-negotiables. And we'd always kind of thought about them in our head, but we put pen to paper and really figured that out. And I think that helped Chelsea and I align with which direction this business is going and what are we trying to do with this business? What's our goal? Is it just to make a lot of money, or are we trying to impact people positively? And we were able to talk through that, and we realized, we want positive impact. And if we make money, we want to give that money back. We want to spread that wealth that we get. The money is a great byproduct, but we really want that positive impact that comes with it. So that's been great. I know Chelsea and I, you mentioned Jocko. We listen to Jocko every once in a while. He has that, the good, not the song, but his little speech on good. When things get bad, you didn't get the promotion. Good. Time to go back. You had a bad day. Good. Let's focus on the next day. Like, we say that to each other all the time. Hey, this deal didn't work out. And Chelsea's like, good. Let's get a new one. And this is awesome. I love that. And then maybe Bedros Keuilian. He has kind of taught us to be anti-fragile. We listen to his podcast a lot. I listened to his book, Man Up. It was amazing. I need to listen to it again. It's just kind of like, hey, life's going to come at you. That's okay. That's life. You need to build yourself some resiliency in life so that when those hard life moments come up, you can handle them properly and continue moving forward. Because if we don't move forward and we don't advance, our family doesn't advance. So we need our family to advance. That's a non-negotiable for us. Mm-hmm. We're going up. We may have some blips where we get sidetracked, but we are always going up and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin's implemented the EOS framework for him.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm still working through the book, but the content is so great and applicable to any aspect of your life that you want, that you want to apply it to. Which is just really cool, because I'm like, man, we can implement EOS for our other investments or just our life. Like, are we hitting our goals? What do we want to do? So Kevin was doing a great job in leading that way and getting educated on, a new operating system.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we implemented EOS about 2.5 years ago, and the core values that I have right here, I've now transitioned. So my kids, we've switched them over, just 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old family edition. And so my kids can recite back our home core values, and they're the same ones for the business as they are for our family. And it's good. Good job, guys. I think more people, if they leaned on concepts like EOS, seek mentorship, and it doesn't have to be people that it could be resources. I mean, you may or may not have a relationship with Jocko Willink. I don't know that, but you have his content because you follow him, and there's so much out there to help somebody get off of wherever they are, their starting point, and really build something special for themselves. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing that and embodying that and then sharing that here. We're wrapping up. We're in the fourth quarter now. How would you guys define this chapter? 1 year into the business, you've got a beautiful family, and you're still grinding, you're still growing. How do you define the chapter?
Man, I guess this is still growth mode. So we had our local territory, and we were kind of getting, I don't want to say it's on autopilot, but we were kind of getting everything stabilized there. And now we've launched territory number 2, and it's just go, 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 grind, grind, grind. Now we're back at it. I think within another year or two, we'll kind of be back at kind of that level playing field where we're kind of not coasting at all, but we've got things in place where we're able to implement those things. We've got the right people in the right seats, like, Gino Wickman talks about.
Yep.
That's what we want. So it's definitely, there's a lot of growth for us. We're growing as a couple. We're helping grow our kids. I think growth is something we will always want. And we want this to be a long chapter in our life of just growing. And then also teaching to our kids how to grow themselves, how to feed themselves, because we won't always be around. We want to give these life lessons to them that we're learning so that maybe they don't make the same mistakes, but so that they can grow their legacy, because that's what we're building right now is our legacy. And we want that to be a strong one, but we want them to continue carrying that forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely in this phase of getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
It took us a while to realize, or it took me a while to realize that about ourselves, that, we're coasting. What's our next challenge? And so I had a girlfriend say, you guys are busybodies. And it's like, yeah, we are. We're always taking on something new. When the plate gets full, we either, we stack it higher or we go buy a new plate and it's a bigger plate. Yeah. So we are recognizing that about ourselves, trying to embrace things like being anti-fragile. Every challenge that we face, we will handle it better the next time because we've learned something. So we are getting comfortable being uncomfortable and managing, different stress levels. Every new stress won't feel like that forever. So just constantly reminding ourselves of that. And, we were put on this earth to do great things. So that's what we're striving to do.
Yeah. Chelsea and I, we say that about our business, but we do that in life too. Like during the winter, we have a pool. We'll go in on the coldest day of the year. We'll jump in that pool and say, hey, let's do something. It's going to get rough. We do our cold plunges. We have a sauna at the house. We sit in the sauna for 20 minutes and it is a rough 15 minutes is okay. But after that, it just gets rough fast and it's a mental war, but you have to have that with yourself, I think, to build that anti-fragility and that resilience that you have mentally that's going to take you through life.
That's amazing. Somebody just asked me that question and my response was breakthrough. So when you say growth this year, for me, the word would be breakthrough. But the key is something has to break. And it's often that the moments of pain and the moments of struggle come before that next big level up. And it's the ones that have the mindset that can stick through it as athletes. I mean, you guys understand that. And you just got to be disciplined. You got to be consistent. But the pain points are right before the biggest level up. You guys have talked about vision. You've talked about why you're building what you're building. But I'm curious, 1 year in, what do you want year 3 to year 5 to look like right now? Like, what is it that if this is what your situation looked like 3 years from now, you would be content and you'd be excited? What is that picture in your minds? It might be different for the two of you.
Yeah, we kind of we did talk about that recently. I think I'd like to grow the layers between me and the coaches. I would like to get more management, some people that are kind of dedicated to sales, some people that are dedicated to coaching operations. And then, I can kind of focus on the back end of the business and then maintaining relationships that we've built over time, because that's a big part of this business is maintenance of the relationship. Once you get into a school, once you get into a location, a city partnership, it's great, but you have to make sure that you don't leave that and ghost them and never talk again, because this is a relationship that we need to nurture. Yes. Yep. I need to make sure that they're happy, because if they're not happy, then we need to fix something. We're still in the customer service industry. We're servicing these children at a young age through the game of soccer, but ultimately the directors of schools and the city partnerships, they need to be happy with the performance that we're giving them. So I would like to be on the back end more with the sales, helping out with sales and helping out with networking within the business, helping everyone work together and build that good management team and a good coaching staff as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think building those layers is important, and we're still figuring out the right balance of people. I think we've always been thinking, let's find a manager who's great at managing coaches and then can also do sales. But maybe that role really does need to be split. We're still learning those things because trying to find a jack of all trades is tricky. And I mean, even the two of us, we've got different strengths. But we've just been able to complement each other and building the business. So I'd love to see developing more of those layers and then giving Kevin the opportunity to, pour more into the coaches. Because a cool thing about this business is we are exposed to a lot of like young people. We've got 3 kids and we feel old. We go to bed at like 8:30. So we feel very old right now in our life stage, but we are working with young 20 somethings and it's fun. Their life stage is just so different, but they've got so much potential and they don't know it. So it's fun to be able to pour more into those people. And I know Kevin enjoys that more. So in 3 to 5 years, I'd love to see him, further up, having more layers, but then being able to pour into coaches, get connected in the community. That's another great aspect about Soccer Stars is you can really feel connected with your community. We run into kids, we're at the grocery store or wherever, and they're like, that's Coach Pizza. Talking about Kevin, that's his stage name. But we love those aspects of it, like running into kids that we know and families that we know and parents saying, oh, my kid loves soccer day. Like we love that aspect of it. So it would be cool to do more of that.
That's great. I was 26 whenever we started Mosquito Joe, and now my average team member is around the 26, 27 range. And it truly is an amazing thing to see their mindsets at that point and what they're trying to build. It's almost like something switches and like, oh, I have to actually like go build something and I need a vision for my life. And they come into our situation right at the perfect time, I feel like. But it's also, you made a great point. Not everybody has that same entrepreneurial energy where they can sustain wearing multiple hats. And it's an art form of giving people opportunity to expand, but also building very specific tasks that they can feel fulfilled on a day-to-day so they know they did exactly what they needed to. And that's something that I've dealt with and had to rein back and be more specific. But again, it's an art form. And as you continue to learn your people, you'll figure out the perfect balance for you guys. But Kevin and Chelsea, you guys, this has been a great time. I appreciate getting to talk to you. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit already?
No, we just have to get dinner sometime because I think we can learn a lot from you and we'd love to hear your journey. 9 years building out here.
And you're down the road. You're right down the road. So it'd be great.
We're very close. Yes. We should. Absolutely. 100%. You guys are amazing. I'm so excited for what you guys are building. And this is an open platform. If you guys, I'm saying it, I'm not going to edit this part out. If you want to come talk shop on anything, life, family, we could do a couples double episode. That would be fun. I've never done that before. That would be fun. But man, to the listener, to you guys, I promise I will get more franchisees on the show because I had a lot of fun on this one. There's so much value here that's practical that you can take away and implement right now. So listen to this one twice, get your notebook ready for the second time. And as always, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Hey, if this episode added any value to your life at all, please like it, share it, give me a 5-star review. It's the only way that this show is going to gain traction and help more people achieve their dreams. If you're ready to start your franchise journey, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's set up a time to talk. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.